Good morrow, gamers. It's Meow back for another monthly gaming diary entry. So, this month's gaming diary is packed again. Feel like I'm playing a lot of games because I just don't really have desire to draw much. I don't know why. I guess I'm just not feeling the flow of it. I don't know. That said, I have drawn this month. I've drawn a few panels of a new comic I've been working on. But this isn't about art diary, this is gaming diary. And this month, I played Path of Exile 2. Continuing more of what I started last month. I mostly played my Amazon and my Lich. The Amazon character just keeps disappointing me every turn. It feels like I was... How do I put this? When you look at the character class overview when creating your character, it shows you like 3 different tabs. One is, you can stab and throw your spear, so you can do a mix of melee and range. That is true. And next is showing disengage, like specifically that skill, to be like, oh, you can escape from battle, and it's like, okay. Which I suppose is a good thing because the Huntress / Amazon is rather squishy, but I also feel like she's like very weak. But the third tab is the one that is totally a how do you put it? Like, it makes it sound like throughout the most of the career of the Huntress is going to be about taming animals to use as minions. Pokemons. But it turns out you gotta get to level 31, I believe it was. 31 or 32. To finally be able to even get the first tame beast. And you can't use it with your other spirit skills. So that's a bit of a bummer. But to be fair, the Huntress doesn't really have very great spirit skills, so yeah. Like, the thing I thought I was going to be really relying on was the Lightning Herald, because the attacks I most liked with Huntress were her lightning attacks. Because she's got like a lightning spear that does chain lightning, and she's got this like lightning rod javelin throw, and I put living lightning on that so that it spawns temporary lightning minions off of each little proc, which is pretty nice. But again, I don't do much damage, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I have a lot of dexterity. I've put a lot of points into boosting lightning specifically, and I'm still not doing much. next issue is the Roa mount. I thought that was going to be like where the build finally falls together, but no. The Roa mount, well, let me put it this way. The Beast Companions are a specific type of minion that has limited slots. You have exactly one companion slot. You can get a second one if you have a piece of unique gear that boosts it specifically, or if you get a node that is on Amazon's natural skill tree that you can get to double the thing. I don't know why I say double, it's just +1. I guess it is double, but you know what I mean. You get one more slot. Sadly, they don't stack, so you can't get 3. The Roa mount also counts towards this companion slot, and it just feels like a big old bummer, man. So like I go through the entire game. I'm currently in the intermissions with the Huntress, and I just feel so underwhelmed with her. And on the opposite end, the Lich is everything I ever wanted out of the Lich. She's as is on the tin. No strings attached. You want an army of minions? You can summon an army of minions. You want to make a guy fight for you? You can make a guy fight for you. As long as it's not a boss. So now I have the Maw demon and some sort of tentacle thing from the abyss that I can have as a minion. And eventually, when I get some spirit upgrades, I'll be able to have even more minions. And that's also on top of my natural skills of like necromancy stuff, where I have a bone scepter, so that gives me bone minions, skeletal soldiers. I also have skeletal archers. I can use a skeletal bomber and a skeletal ice mage as well. It's really cool, and I can also make zombies off of my enemies' corpses, or I can also explode them to get bone crawlers. It's awesome! And on top of that, she also has like some nice dot skills. Like, not just being able to put bleed on things, but also I can cast this like infection spell that anything that's killed with it spreads that ailment to nearby enemies. That's pretty rad. You also have this like chaos. It's like the chaos bolt attack from the wand, but except it's a skill and you can use it with any wand. And it's even better because it inflicts chaos damage over time. And it does stack with like poison and other things. Even infection. Night and day, I tell you, between the viability. It's frankly astounding. Next thing on the list, Warframe. They did Operation Plague Star recently, so that was a great time to grind. For those who don't know, Operation Plague Star is like a special mini event that comes around like once every 2 years, basically. The theme of it is that a uh, infected meteor crashed into the plains of Cetus, which is a place on Earth. And you gotta inject toxin into it to kill it before it becomes uncontrollable and kills everyone. And it's okay. Like the event itself, playing the mission once or twice, it's okay. It's a nice little distraction. The thing I have issue with it, though, is playing it repeatedly is kind of boring, because the mission doesn't really change up anything. There isn't a different map, there isn't different mission objectives, it's the same thing every single time. The only differences are where you grab the toxin and where you activate the toxin, but every single other bit is the exact same. And it takes like a good 10 minutes to beat. It feels like, at least. Made worse or better by the players playing Nova. Holy crap, have I learned to hate Nova players. Just, if a Nova knows what they're doing, it'll make the mission far, 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 far faster. But so few people know how to use Nova, so it winds up being an annoying fest of them slowing down the boss thing when they're emerging from the meteor, and then speeding them up while they're outside the meteor, so that it becomes impossible to actually hit the damn thing. And then they keep throttling the speed of the boss, basically, and they don't know what they're doing. And honestly, it would just be quicker if they just simply didn't fucking exist. Oh. That aside, Warframe's been 4-frame. They released Caliban Prime recently, so I got him. I think the only currently in circulation Prime item I don't have is Vanka Prime. But that's a special one, and I don't really feel like doing Railjack right now. No me gusta. Next up, Borderlands 2. I played through the entire thing as Axton. And my thoughts on him is he's okay. He's kind of milquetoast. Like, he isn't as crazy as, like, Krieg, for instance, who has, like, various different, for lack of a better term, suicidal playstyles, which I like myself. He's my personal favorite character out of the ones I played. But Axton is just, alright, you want to boost some stats? Or do you want to boost your turret? Okay. Use a few extra points. You want to use more grenades? Okay. Here's +1 grenade capacity. I'm not hating on Axton. It's just, like, he's not very interesting, but at the same time, it is nice to have a character that's just simple and straightforward. Something that, you know, people need to realize there is beauty in simplicity. And some people don't want a character that's hyper complex, or someone like Gage where you got anarchy, where you have to build up 5 million stacks for an hour. It is... he's simple, but effective. And I also have been playing Borderlands 1 a bit. With an amigo I haven't played with in years. Forget how far we got, but I played through, well, was playing through, rather. We got, I think, about halfway. It's using Roland. And I can compare the turrets of the two, having used them. And I have to say, Roland's turret is absolute dog water. As a turret, at least. Using it as a, like, support beacon is far, far better. Like, letting it heal people and restore ammo of your nearby allies is infinitely superior to trying to get the thing to hit anything, because it doesn't have very much range. It's got like a cone of swivel, and it's a very small cone. Whereas Axton's turret, it doesn't have the support capabilities, but it is far more effective as being an offensive turret rather than just a support beacon that shoots a bullet now and then. Because Axton's turret, you can not only outfit it with various upgrades like an extra gun, missile salvo, a mag lock so you can put it onto walls and ceilings, all sorts of stuff. The only support thing I think it's got is a shield that you can get, which is like a bubble shield, as opposed to Roland's little tiny cover thing. But yeah, it's more offensive, and it can turn around and shoot in all directions, basically. It's like, as long as the turret can see something, it'll shoot. So that's my comparison of the two turrets. Borderlands 1 is still funny. It's got that first game stank that, I forget what the proper term for the trope is, but I think it's like first instance weirdness, something similar like that. Like, the guns don't really have the gimmicks that the later games have. Like, Torg is just another brand. It doesn't have purely explosive type things like it does in Borderlands 2 and beyond. So Borderlands 1 makes much more of a clear statement of that all of the corporations that rule the universe are evil. Like, the Torg Corporation is keeping the bandits of Pandora supplied. Dahl, like, all the bandits are because Dahl used Pandora as a mining colony and had their prisoners, of course, being slaves. And when the iridium mines on Pandora dried up, they just abandoned not only the prisoners, but also the employees, and they ravaged the land. Like, the land was... I don't think they ever state exactly what happened to Pandora itself, because you see, like, evidence of there used to be, like, great oceans over the planet, but they're gone now. And there's, like, boats and stuff out there, too, which makes you wonder, like, how close of a recent thing it is. Because they're not ultra rusted out, so it's gotta be within like past 10 years or something, and it's probably having to do with Dahl's mining operation. And of course, there's Atlas that are the big villains of the game. And of course, Hyperion shows up late into the storyline's life in the DLC, I should say. Like the first DLC, Zombie Island, Dr. Ned, you're dealing with Jacobs, or rather what's left of the Jacobs outpost on Pandora. And even then, they're not good guys, which is why when I see people being like, oh, the corporations of Borderlands games explained, and it has this good, chaotic, lawful, neutral bullshit. None of them are good. The Jacobs Corporation basically is like, hey, if you are caught using a non-Jacobs weapon and you're a Jacobs employee, we're just going to fucking kill you. It's things like that, and it's like, people, because they see their favorite Sir Hammerlock marrying Jacob Wainwright, or Wainwright Jacobs, now Jacobs is the good guy. No, they're not. Not in the slightest. Really, in the series, nobody's really a good guy. Like, the opening with Cage the Elephant in Borderlands 1 really speaks about it. Basically, it really sets up the theme of Borderlands well. That nobody wanted the life they lead, but they lead it anyways. Because otherwise they will, it's either that or die. The bandits kill and steal because it's either that or you die in the waste. It's just, some of them group together. Of course, there are also the people that who aren't criminals and whatnot, but wound up being dragged into that life because of what Dahl did. Though, I kind of drifted from that a bit by, like, Borderlands 3, I guess. Where it's like, oh, we're the good guys, everybody. But not really. Of course, Borderlands 3's writing is infamously garbage. Speaking of which, I got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands for dirt cheap. Played that a bit. I like some things about it, but it's also got a little stink from Borderlands 3. Like, the maps are absolutely awful. And the inventory is a clusterfuck. See, I will pull up my review to remind me. Yeah, there's like a bunch of, like, the character designs are generally fugly, as it is with a lot of modern enemies respawn too quickly, like in a singular area, just quickly taking a stop at a vendor to sell my junk, and enemies are always back, and I'm like fighting the same groups of enemies like 3 or 4 times just to progress. They, for some reason, went back to Borderlands 2's decision of you having to unlock colors for your characters, which is really weird. But I do like things like the guns that are like crossbows, or the ones that are powered by magic crystals. It's really cool. I like that, and they replace grenades with spells, which I also like. It's pretty neat. I don't know how far I'm in the game. It says I'm level 10 in my achievements here, so I'm at least level 10. Let's see. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I finally sat down to play that, and my opinion is, it's alright. I'm not fond of the original Resident Evil 4, and I feel that Resident Evil 4 Remake is close to parallel in quality. Like, there's some improvements and also some unimprovements. Like, for some fucking reason, the knife is breakable again, like it was in Resident Evil 2. Why? I don't fucking know. At least this time, the enemies aren't bullet sponges, so I don't feel as much like they're trying to sell the infinite ammo DLC like they were with 2. But also, like, they put in mechanics specifically to, like, do parries with your knife, as well as stealth kills and stuff, but because your knife has limited uses before it breaks, it doesn't mesh with this very well. Because the thing is constantly breaking, and you're constantly having to dump money back into it. And it's not like I never repair the thing. I repair the thing every single time I pass by the merchant. And then there's like instances where it's like, I died to the needle regenerator because it grabbed me from across the room, because it has super stretchy long arms now, and it just grabs me, pulls me across the room, and just instantly kills me because I can't get out of it. Because the only way to get out of it is with your survival knife. But oh wait, the survival knife is broken. And then the game has the audacity to after killing me, to give me the player tip of, oh, if you get grabbed by that thing, it will kill you instantly, so use your knife to get free. Oh gee, I would love to! But unfortunately, you made the retarded decision to make them breakable! Don't come at me about saying the word retarded. Don't let people have power over you, man. Anyways, they cut a lot of things from the game, as they seem to do with the remakes for some reason. It's like, harken back to the Resident Evil 1 remake on GameCube, where it's like a better version of the original game with a lot of new stuff added to it, versus the Resident Evil 2 cutting entire sections and cutting story and context for things out. Like, in the original Resident Evil 2, a lot of the stuff going down in the city, like everyone being trapped in for the zombie apocalypse, is because the police chief did that. And he's psychotic and paranoid. And also, a murderer. Like, he kidnaps the mayor's daughter and taxidermies her. And they just kind of don't acknowledge it. He's also a rapist. By the way, like, in original Resident Evil 2, they set him up to be like, this guy is very bad. You don't want anything to do with him. He is worse than scum. But in the remake, he's just coming out of nowhere. He's like, give me Sherry! Oh, Sherry, I'm going to fucking kill you! Because you threw formaldehyde into my eyes. Oh no, the G-Man is here. Bye-bye. That's it for him. And Resident Evil 4 Remake is much the same, where, like, they cut out entire things. Characters just are not appearing in this episode, with some of the things like the, like, you know the two bodyguards Salazar has in the original? And one of them you fight in the basement, and the other one he fuses with a Plagas monster thing to become a big Plagas monster thing. Yeah, well, Sir not appearing in this film just sort of evaporates. He was there earlier, he isn't there anymore. Spoilers, they moved him to the Separate Ways DLC, which used to come standard with the original game, but now you gotta pay extra. It came with the game. I'm not buying DLC, man. You sell me the complete game or I ain't buying. Anyways, yeah, there's entire sections just cut. And, of course, context cut. And, like, Salazar is probably the most random thing, because you shoot him off of a cliff in the cutscene, and then he falls down and immediately flies back up, but he's a Plagas monster now! It's like, why? This makes no sense. Like, especially, how is he flying? He's just floating around. There's no context for it. Like in the original, he didn't fly. He was asphyxiated to the wall. I don't know, man. It comes back to a thing that I'm having an issue with modern Resident Evil games, is that they moved away from sci-fi into literally fucking magic, especially with Resident Evil 8. It's just magic. Like, up to Resident Evil 3, maybe 4, the pseudoscience they use, it feels grounded. Like, Nemesis doesn't just suddenly become a giant death monster like it does in the remake. He's still roughly the same size, he's just sort of melted into a blob. And, just like running around as a beast. He's not too much bigger than normal. It makes sense. But like they go in nowadays making things super giga giant to be like things are creating muscle mass and whatnot from nothing, and I don't like it. I suppose Resident Evil 2, a Birkin, is kind of like that, but I don't know. But then, like, a Resident Evil 8, you've got literally magic mushrooms. And like when you play as Rose, you just like use your ki blasts. It's ridiculous. This is basically what I'm getting at. Things don't feel like they're grounded too much anymore. It's becoming too popcorn logic-y. And Salazar in the remake is definitely one of those instances where he's just a flying monster. He's not propelled by anything. He doesn't have like magnetic polarities. He's not using tentacles to climb around to look like he's flying. No, he's just floating. Just because. Anyways, that's enough rambling about that. Borderlands 3 I've written on here. Didn't do much with that. I basically just started on NG Plus with Zane, got bored within 2 seconds. Super Mario Land 2 Rando. I've been doing randomizers again. Super Mario Land 2 got added in recent times to Archipelago, so I've been trying that out. Link's Awakening DX, that's standard randomizer with that. Hollow Knight, I started over yet again with that. I still can't get into it. I don't know what it is. I try to like it. The art style is gorgeous, but the gameplay, I just don't care for it. I don't know why. Super Metroid X Fusion. It's a mod, hack, whatever you want to call it, for Super Metroid that it's quite wild. It's a complete reimagining of Metroid Fusion, but in Super Metroid engine, and it is fantastic, in my honest opinion. They make the SAX a lot more threatening. They gave them a lot more abilities, made them smarter. And you see them around a lot more often. It's quite interesting. Like, don't go into it expecting the same game as Metroid Fusion, because it isn't. There are similar story beats, but there are also completely new bosses, and of course returning ones, and a lot of surprises. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you enjoy Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion, give the game a shot. You will more than likely really enjoy yourself. Let's see, Super Metroid Rando, nothing special with that. That was just another rando I was in. Resident Evil Gaiden. On a whim, I decided to give that game a spin, because I was morbidly curious. It's like the one non-canon Resident Evil game, as far as I'm aware. It was better than I was expecting. The music is absolutely annoying because it's the same like note melody played constantly over and over and over. But they did an interesting thing where it picks up and pastes and changes key depending on what's happening in the game. Like if you're near a zombie, it like slows down. If you're spotted, then speeds up. It's interesting. Unfortunately, I didn't get to beat it because I dead saved. Because the like final-ish boss is he likes to stay away from you, so you can't use your survival knife on him. And unlike an earlier boss where you had to use your handgun to kill because the goal was to shoot him backwards into a like steam pipe, that boss, like if you died, you reload, and then there's a zombie carrying some handgun ammo up the stairs behind you, and there's like some other drops that respawn as well. That was a nice little bit, but they didn't think about that for the next boss. Well, for this boss, that is. So it kind of just really sucked. It's like I was having a pretty decent time with the game. It was proper challenging, but like the boss keeps his distance, and you can't, as far as I'm aware, I haven't figured out any other way to do it, but you can't seem to approach the enemies yourself. Because the way the battle system works is that it like goes into a first-person perspective, and you generally are trying to time your hits on this little bar. Like if you've ever played, what you call it? I think it was called Megaton Punch minigame in the Kirby games. It's similar to that. That's how you damage things, and of course with the survival knife you can only do it if they're in front of you. If they're any distance away, you can't hit them. And the boss likes to keep its distance. It only comes in periodically to do a strong attack. And since I didn't manage to find any alternative guns other than the shotgun, and of course you get the assault rifle for free when Leon joins the party, I didn't really have a way of taking him down. I missed out on the gas launcher, the grenade launcher, and the rocket launcher. And at that point in the game, you're at a point of no return. So, that sucks. Oh well, so be it. It was a decent game aside, though. Resident Evil 2 Remake Extra Modes. As some may know, I really don't like the Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I hadn't played the extra stories, and I wanted to give them a shot. Forced Survivor. I got pretty far, but it just kind of feels like bullshit. It's mostly memorizing what's going to try to push your head in. And eventually I just got tired of trying. I got pretty far. I was on the second floor of what you call it, RPD. And I get taken down by another swarm of zombies. And I definitely did not have the ammo to take him on. Nor any healing to deal with them. So really pissy of them to give me a blue and red mixed herb just so I can't mix it with my blue and green mixed herb. It's like, it's real dickish of you, man. But it is what it is. Kendo, I played him a bit. I genuinely don't remember much. The Mayor's Daughter mode. They add pale heads around, which wasn't the thing that I struggled with. I struggled with being swarmed by 20 zombies as soon as I stepped inside the orphanage. And just sort of went meh and continued on from there. And then the last one, I'm not gonna lie, I remember nothing about the last one other than it exists. Moving on. Resident Evil 8. I decided to play again because I enjoy the game. Even though I don't feel like it's Resident Evil at all. Especially since if I'm not purposely thinking about it, I just passively call it Castlevania 8. Which is not me joking, even though sometimes I do joke about it, but it really does remind me of Castlevania. Like, you emerge from the woods and you see the giant looming castle over the decrepit village, and my mind just goes na-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. But anyways, that aside, I was playing on the hardest difficulty, Village of Shadows. I started with a fresh file to give it a spin, and now I know the meaning of CBT, and that was rough. I spent a very long time progressing slowly and slowly, and I ultimately got to the first of Lady D's daughters before I became just flat out stuck because I, one, did not have the ammo to deal with the copious amounts of enemies that are tanky AF, and two, if you don't deal with the enemies, they will enter the boss room, which is a very small space, and the enemies in Village of Shadows mode, which is the hardest difficulty, they're far more aggressive, as well as, you know, dealing more damage and taking a lot more punishment. So I broke and started NG Plus with my original file, and went in with my infinite grenade launcher, and the game was significantly easier. I wouldn't call it easy, but easier. It's definitely a difficult mode. I eventually went out of my way to get infinite ammo for the Wolfsbane, which is the first Magnum you get in the game. That was worth it. It was a task and a half to get the infinite ammo for that. Not just because of grinding the coin in game, but also I had to do some mercenaries mode to get some extra points to be able to get the infinite ammo unlock. And from then on, the rest of the run was fairly straightforward. There are difficult spots, especially the Crest Redfield segment where I basically get vibe checked by endless furries and yeah, it was definitely a skill check sort of section. But I got through. It took me a little bit, but I did it. It's like basically my strategy with it was, well, I not only had infinite ammo for my assault rifle, but take the path up pretty slow until you get to the section with the two big wolf guys. That's where I dropped a flashbang and just sprinted to the next section, where there were a bajillion wolf guys in an alley. That was annoying as heck. After that is the section where you gotta blow up this giant mushroom, and it took me a few tries. It was definitely not easy because of the amount of enemies you have to kill, and even with infinite ammo with your assault rifle, just remember, in the game, infinite ammo does not mean infinite capacity for your magazine. It means that you can reload for free. So I can kill like 2 wolf guys before having to reload. So there's a lot of funneling. There's a convenient little alleyway that you can try to funnel enemies through. Well-timed grenades to knock enemies down and run past them. And I made a gamble on the last artillery strike and won by essentially leaving the crowd behind, running as far as I could, and launching the thing. If you pay attention, you can keep moving while starting the artillery strike thing. The only thing that matters is where you're pointing at when it finally procs. So you can just be looking straight ahead at a wall, run at it with your laser pen out, and then turn around, point at the mushroom, and then blow it up. Then came the, I think it's like Urias or something, is the name of it. It's the giant evil Santa with the spiked mace, as Santa oft wants to carry. That one took me, I want to say, like 6 or 7 tries. He was difficult, but doable. The good old strategy of circle strafing was your friend for that fight. So it's another instance of you gotta know when to block, so that you can survive as many attacks as you can. Of course, outright avoid an attack is the best solution, but I couldn't reliably avoid attacks. Like the hitboxes, sometimes I feel like a hit should have hit me, but it didn't, and other times I feel like a hit shouldn't have hit me, but it did, which was a bit annoying. But moving around while aiming your laser pointer was also very important for that fight. So you gotta be quick with the flashbangs to prep the laser pointer for virtually free. Basically, throw out a flashbang, quickly swap to your laser pen, and start charging. And you should have enough time to get a free artillery strike. Also, make sure that your assault rifle is reloaded before you start that, because you only have enough time to shoot a full magazine into him once. So make sure to capitalize on that, is the strategy. After that, it's pretty easy. You know, just have all the healing juice you can, because you don't get to have healing juice. Like, you can't just keep making healing juice like you can with Ethan while you're playing as Chris, which is another one of the things that makes that hard. But with Ethan, for the fight with Miranda, you can just War of Attrition it. She took a good long time to kill, because Village of Shadows difficulty, extra health. It only took me 2 attempts to beat her, though. I don't know if there's a way to avoid her spider jump attack that she does when she's in spider form. So I always just block that. When she's in bird form, I don't quite understand how her hitbox works, because it's just like your eyes. Sometimes a hit hits me that I don't feel like it should, and other times something doesn't hit me when I feel like it definitely should have. But at least this time you have a whole giant bunch of Brondo you can apply to the wounds, because it's what mold craves. But yeah, that was pretty fun, honestly. It was definitely challenging. So I beat that and unlocked the hand cannon and the rocket pistol, which, as I understand it, is a meme weapon. So I look forward to playing with that on casual mode in the future. Just pew-pewing zip rockets. And the last thing on the list, a Link to the Past Rando. Now that I actually do have something to say about. That was yesterday's stream. And oh boy, that was something. Calling it a cursed seed is a little too light for what it was. The seed took 6.5 hours. Almost 7. I believe. I can't remember. And I'm feeling its effects. If it wasn't for the fact that this is the last day of the month, so you know, I gotta do my monthly diary, I probably wouldn't have been doing much of anything today, because I frankly have a headache, and feeling completely spent from all of that. Anyway, the seed deemed that one player had, like, everything. So we were basically waiting on the one player. We being me and Rosari, the third player, called second, they were, the lucky one that got stuck with everyone's everything. So that was quite interesting, having, like, very little things to do until, like, the final hour of the stream. And I wound up, like, watching a few different videos from Jimothy, as well as playing Resident Evil 8. I hadn't finished it yet. I finished that after the rando. So... it was quite something. And the funny thing is, it isn't because anyone did anything wrong, it's just how RNG dictated it would be that day. Like, I took a look, make sure everyone's progression is normal, everyone's amount of items are normal. Why RNG dictated that player 3 would have all progression items? Who knows? But that's how it be sometimes, you know? Good times had by all, but I'm pooped! So, see y'all next time. Forecast for what I may be doing. I might be playing some Elden Ring Night Rain. I'm kind of getting in the mood for it again. I don't plan on doing a whole ton with it. More of just seeing how it feels after all the updates and stuff so far. Maybe it's going to be a lot more enjoyable. Maybe they've had more options put in. The other thing that I plan on playing, possibly even later today, is the Fading Flame, a mod for Dark Souls 1 Remastered. It looks interesting. They've apparently revamped whips, so I'm definitely going to be giving those a try. I do like whip weapons in the games, even though they really didn't get usable until... I don't know how they are in 2, but definitely in 3 they finally became usable. And they weren't great or anything, but they weren't atrocious like they were in Dark Souls 1. And of course, Elden Ring is just Dark Souls 3, but good. So, in that game, they became completely viable. Still not as good as other weapons. Like, people like to crap on whips and flails for being stinky poo-poo, but that's only because everything else is insane. And they are just reasonable, you know? But it is what it is. In my opinion, just about everything inside of Elden Ring is viable. Except for throwing daggers. I don't know. At least I haven't seen much viability with throwing daggers. You get them only in the DLC. That is the Smith script throwing daggers, a weapon, not the throwing daggers items. And the throwing dagger items are actually pretty nice, too. Thinking on it. I do love me Elden Ring to absolute bitty bits. And Dark Souls 1 and Elden Ring are like the two Souls games I absolutely recommend people play. Demon Souls, I say give it a spin if you want to see where the series even began with. It really is outdated, though, compared to other games. Like, everything in Demon Souls feels like it has no weight, from what I remember. I definitely do not recommend Dark Souls 3. No. I know people love Dark Souls 3 for some reason. I don't at all. Okay, that's not true. I do like it a little bit, but I have a lot of complaints, and that's why it was last place until Night Rain came out. Though I'm I'm not sure if I want to consider Night Rain a real Souls-like as much as a standalone minigame sort of thing, since that's kind of what it feels like. It's just Elden Ring mini rando, although I would have preferred having like Chalice dungeons added to Elden Ring. I would have loved that, man. The Chalice dungeons, I really hope they do something with that again in the future, with some future Souls game. It was just cool, you know? I also allowed them to reuse bosses they scrapped from the story in Bloodborne. And Sony, if you're listening to this, please add Bloodborne to PC. You are missing on a huge market. And it's not like you're going to force people to buy a PS5 or PS4 to play it, because I've already bought those things. And I'm willing to buy it again just to play on PC. Anyways, peace, love, dope people. See you all next month, where I'll be playing probably Souls games and more Warframe. And who knows what else. Anyway, peace.